Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson in Modern English. Do not look for yourself outside of yourself. A person is their own guide, and the soul that lives honestly and truly has control over all light, all influence, and destiny. For them, nothing happens too soon or too late. Our actions are like our angels, for better or worse. They are our inescapable shadows that follow us everywhere. Abandon the child to the wilderness. Let him be nursed by a wild she-wolf. Let him spend winters alongside hawks and foxes, so that strength and swiftness become his hands and feet. Recently, I read some verses by a well-known painter that were truly original, not just what is usually expected. No matter what the topic is, the soul always hears a warning or a lesson in such lines. The feeling these verses create is worth more than any specific idea they express. To trust your own thoughts, to believe that what is true for you deep inside is true for everyone, this is what makes someone a genius. Speak your hidden beliefs, and they will become what everyone understands, because what is deepest within us eventually comes to the surface, and our first idea is echoed back to us by the loudest voices in the end. Even though everyone is familiar with the sound of their own mind, the greatest thing we say about Moses, Plato, and Milton is that they ignored books and traditions, and spoke not the opinions of others, but their own thoughts. A person should learn to notice and pay attention to that flash of inspiration that appears in their mind from within, even more than the brilliance of all the poets and wise men. Yet we often ignore our own thoughts simply because they are ours. In every great work, we recognize our own rejected ideas. They return to us, but now with a kind of unfamiliar greatness. The most powerful lesson we learn from masterpieces is this. They teach us to stick with our natural instincts firmly and with good spirits, especially when everyone else disagrees. If we don't, the next day a stranger will say exactly what we have always thought and felt, and we'll have to accept our own belief from someone else, feeling embarrassed. Everyone reaches a point in life when they realize that being jealous of others comes from not understanding themselves, that copying someone else destroys who they truly are, and that they have to accept themselves with all their strengths and flaws as their own lot in life. Even though the world is full of good things, he won't get any real reward unless he works hard on the piece of land he's been given. The strength he has is something new in the world, and only he can discover what he's capable of, and even he won't know until he tries. There's a reason why one face, one personality, one event has a big impact on him, while another one doesn't affect him at all. This image in the memory fits with a natural, pre-existing harmony. The eye was put where a single ray of light would hit it, so it could witness that specific ray. We only partly express ourselves, and we're embarrassed by the unique, special idea each of us represents. You can trust it will turn out well if it's shared honestly, but God will not show his work through cowards. A person feels happy and at ease when they've given their all to their work, but anything they say or do without true effort will bring them no peace. It's a rescue that doesn't actually save him. When he tries, his talents fail. No inspiration helps him, no creativity, no hope. Believe in yourself. Everyone feels that powerful call within. Accept the situation that fate has given you, the people around you, and the events that happen in your life. Great people have always acted this way, trusting simply in the spirit of their time, showing that they believed the truly reliable thing was within themselves, guiding their actions and influencing everything they did. We are now adults, and we must embrace the same extraordinary future with the highest mindset. Not children or weaklings hidden safely away, not cowards running from change, but leaders, saviors, and helpers, following the highest calling and moving forward against confusion and darkness. Nature gives us clear signs about this in the faces and actions of children, babies, and even animals. That doubtful and conflicted mindset, the tendency to mistrust our feelings just because we've calculated the obstacles against us, these children of nature do not have. Because their mind is complete and their outlook is untamed, we feel unsettled when we look into their faces. Babies don't try to fit in with anyone. Instead, everyone else fits in with them, so that one baby usually changes 4 or 5 adults who talk and play with it. God has given youth, puberty, and adulthood their own unique appeal and charm, making them desirable and admirable, and their desires can't be dismissed as long as they are independent. Don't assume the young person isn't strong just because he can't talk to us. Listen. In the next room, his voice is loud and clear. He seems to know how to communicate with people of his own time. Shy or confident, he'll know how to make us adults not needed at all. The carefree attitude of boys who are certain they'll get a meal and who would be just as proud as a nobleman to refuse doing or saying anything just to please someone is the natural, healthy way for people to be. A boy in the living room is like the stage in a theater. Standing apart, unburdened by responsibility, he watches people and events going by from his own spot, quickly judging them in the way boys do, as good, bad, interesting, silly, impressive, or annoying. He never worries about consequences or personal gain. He gives an honest, unbiased opinion. You have to seek him out. He doesn't seek you. But a person is, in a way, trapped by their own awareness. Once he has acted or spoken impressively, he is now committed, observed by the sympathy or hatred of many people whose feelings he must now consider. There's no way to forget this. Oh, if only he could return to his former innocence. Anyone who can avoid making all promises and after seeing things once, look at them again with the same pure, unbiased, unbribable, and fearless innocence will always be powerful. He would speak his mind about everything going on, and since his words were not just personal but truly important, they would hit people hard and make them afraid. These are the voices we hear when we're alone, but they become quiet and hard to hear when we join the rest of the world. Everywhere you go, society works together to undermine each person's individuality and strength. Society is like a corporation where the members agree to give up their freedom and individuality in exchange for making sure everyone gets their share of basic needs. The most valued quality is fitting in. The opposite of that is relying on yourself. It doesn't care about real things or people who create, only about labels and traditions. Anyone who wants to be their own person must not just go along with the crowd. If you want to achieve greatness, you can't just accept what people say is good. You have to find out for yourself if it's truly good. In the end, the only thing truly sacred is staying true to yourself. Forgive yourself, and you will have the approval of everyone. I remember a response I gave when I was very young to a respected mentor who often pressed me with the cherished old teachings of the church. If I ask, why should traditions matter to me? If I live entirely true to myself? My friend said, but these urges might come from base instincts, not from something higher. I answered, they don't feel that way to me. But if I am the devil's child, then I'll live according to the devil. No law is sacred to me except the law of my own nature. Good and bad are just labels that can be easily applied to anything. The only real right is what agrees with my nature, and the only real wrong is what goes against it. A person should act, even when facing opposition, as if everything else is temporary, and only they are real. I'm embarrassed by how quickly we give in to titles and labels, to big organizations and outdated institutions. Any polite and well-spoken person influences me more than they should. I should stand tall and strong and always speak the plain truth. If hatred and pride pretend to be kindness, should we accept that? If a furious fanatic takes on the generous cause of ending slavery and comes to me with his latest news from Barbados, why shouldn't I just tell him, go love your child? Love your local woodcutter, be friendly and humble, have that kindness, and don't cover up your harsh, selfish ambition by pretending to care deeply for people far away. Loving someone far away means neglecting those close to you. Such a greeting might seem harsh and rude, but honesty is better than pretending to care. Your kindness needs to have some strength or firmness, otherwise it isn't real. The idea of hatred must be taught to balance out the idea of love when love becomes weak and whiny. I avoid my parents, my spouse, and my siblings when my true calling summons me. I would write whim on the doorposts. I hope it's more than just a passing fancy in the end, but we don't have time to explain it all right now. Don't expect me to explain why I want to be around others or why I want to be alone. Also, don't tell me, like someone did today, that I'm responsible for finding good jobs for all poor people. Are they my responsibility? I tell you, foolish do-gooder, that I resent every dollar, dime, and cent I give to people with whom I have no real connection. There are certain people I feel deeply connected to. For them, I'd even go to jail if necessary, but your random public charities, the college education of fools, building churches for the useless purposes many serve now, giving charity to drunkards, and all the countless charities, though I admit with embarrassment that I sometimes give money, it's a misguided gift that eventually I'll have the courage to stop giving. People usually think virtues are rare, not common. People have certain good qualities. They do things that are seen as good deeds like acts of bravery or kindness in much the same way as they would pay a penalty for not showing up every day. They do their work as a way to justify or excuse their existence in the world, like sick people or the insane paying a high price just to stay alive. Good deeds are acts of self-denial. I don't want to make up for anything. I just want to live. My life is my own, not a performance for others. I'd much rather it be simpler and sincere instead of flashy and inconsistent. I want it to be healthy and strong without needing special diets or medical treatments. I want proof that you are truly your own person, and I won't accept you pointing to your achievements as evidence. I know that for me it doesn't matter whether I do or don't do the things considered great. I can't agree to pay for something that I have a natural right to. Even though my abilities may be few and small, I truly exist and I don't need anyone else to prove it to myself or to others. I should only worry about what I have to do, not what others think. This rule, which is just as difficult in real life as it is in thinking, could be the main difference between greatness and smallness. It's more difficult because there will always be people who think they know what you should do better than you do. It's easy to follow what everyone else thinks when you're in society. It's easy to follow your own ideas when you're alone. But the truly great person is the one who, even surrounded by a crowd, maintains the calm independence they have when alone. The problem with following customs that no longer mean anything to you is that it weakens your power. It wastes your time and weakens people's perception of who you are. If you support a lifeless church, donate to an inactive Bible society, vote with a major political party for or against the government, or host dinners just to keep up appearances, behind all these covers, I have a hard time seeing who you really are. And naturally, you lose that much energy from your own life. Just do your job, and I'll understand who you are. Do your job, and you'll become stronger. A person should realize how much blindly following others is like playing a game of blind man's bluff. If I know your religious group, I can guess what you're going to argue. I hear a preacher introduce as his subject the usefulness of one of the traditions of his church. Don't I already know that he can't say anything truly new or original? Don't I know that despite all this show of questioning the system, he won't actually do it? Don't I know that he's committed to only seeing one side, the allowed side, not as a man, but as a minister? He's just a hired lawyer and his judge-like manners are pure pretense. Most people have covered their eyes with some kind of blindfold and joined one of these groups that share the same opinion. This conformity doesn't just make them dishonest in a few ways or the source of a few lies, but dishonest in every way. Everything they say isn't completely true. Their version of 2 isn't the real 2, and their 4 isn't the real 4. So every word they speak disappoints us, and we don't even know where to start correcting them. Meanwhile, nature quickly dresses us in the standard outfit of the group we belong to. We end up looking and acting the same and slowly develop a mild, dull expression. There is an embarrassing experience in particular that also repeatedly appears in the experiences of everyone. I mean the fake look of praise, the forced smile we wear when we're with people who make us uncomfortable, responding to conversation that doesn't interest us. Muscles that aren't moved naturally but are controlled by a stubborn, unnatural force become tense around the face in a very unpleasant way. If you don't go along with everyone else, the world punishes you by showing its disapproval. So a person needs to know how to deal with someone who looks unhappy. People look at him suspiciously on the street or in a friend's living room. If this dislike came from the same kind of contempt and resistance that he himself felt, he would have good reason to go home feeling sad. But the crowd's frowns, just like their smiles, don't have any real reason. They change as easily as the wind or whatever the latest newspaper says. But the dissatisfaction of the many is more powerful than that of the government and the university. It's easy for a confident, experienced person to handle the anger of educated people. Their anger is controlled and careful because they're cautious, knowing they're easily hurt themselves. But when the anger of women is joined by the outrage of the people, when the uneducated and the poor are stirred up, when the raw, unintelligent force deep in society begins to threaten and show its teeth, it takes true greatness and faith to act above it all and see it as something unimportant. The other fear that keeps us from trusting ourselves is our need to be consistent. We respect what we've done or said before because other people can only judge us based on our past actions, and we don't want to let them down. But why should you keep looking back? Why carry around the dead weight of your memories just to avoid contradicting something you've said before in public? What if you say the opposite of what you said before? So what? It's wise not to depend only on your memory, not even for remembering things, but instead to examine the past using the awareness and perspective you have right now, and always live as if it's a new day. In your philosophy, you say that God doesn't have a personal nature, but when you feel spiritual inspiration, give into it completely, even if it makes you imagine God with a form and appearance. Abandon your theory like Joseph left his coat with the seductress and run away. Being obsessed with always being consistent is a silly habit of narrow-minded people, admired by petty politicians, philosophers, and religious leaders. A truly great person doesn't worry about always being consistent. He might as well worry about a shadow on the wall. Say what you truly think right now, even if your words are tough, and tomorrow say what you think then, even if your new words contradict what you said today. But then you'll definitely be misunderstood. Is being misunderstood really such a bad thing? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and so were Socrates, Jesus, Luther, Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, and every truly good and wise person who ever lived. To be great is to be misunderstood. I don't think anyone can go against their true nature. All of his impulses are limited by his own nature, just like the huge peaks of the Andes and Himalayas are tiny in comparison to the curve of the earth. It doesn't matter how you judge or test him. Character is like a pattern or poem. Whether you read it forward, backward, or sideways, it always shows the same thing. In this simple, humble life in the woods that God has given me, I want to write down my honest thoughts each day without worrying about the past or the future, and I have no doubt that even if I don't intend or notice it, they will turn out to be balanced and whole. My book should have the scent of pine trees and be filled with the sound of buzzing insects. The swallow outside my window should add the thread or straw it carries in its beak to my own work as well. People see us for who we really are. Character influences us more than our desires. People think they only show their goodness or badness through their actions, but they don't realize that goodness or badness gives off an influence all the time. People will agree with different kinds of actions as long as each one is honest and true to its time. If someone has a single purpose, their actions will work together even if they look very different. These differences become unnoticeable when you step back or think more broadly. Everyone is driven by the same urge. Even the best ship sails in a zigzag pattern, constantly changing direction. If you look at the line from far enough away, it evens out and follows its general direction. Your real actions will speak for themselves, and they'll also make your other real actions clear. Following the crowd doesn't explain anything. Act on your own, and your past individual actions will support you now. Truly great things are meant for the future. If I can be strong enough today to do what's right and ignore what others think, it must mean I've done enough good in the past to protect me now. No matter what, do what's right now. Always disregard appearances, and you always can. Strength of character builds up over time. All the good actions of the past give their strength to this moment. What gives such greatness to the heroes in government and on the battlefield that so captures our imagination? Being aware of a history filled with important days and achievements. They shine together on the person moving forward. It's as if a group of angels can be seen accompanying him. That's what gives power to Chatham's voice, dignity to Washington's presence, and the spirit of America to Adams's gaze. We respect honor because it isn't temporary. It is timeless goodness. We admire it now because it doesn't belong to the present. We love and respect it because it doesn't need our love or respect to exist. It is independent and original, coming from itself, which makes it pure and noble even if it appears in someone young. I hope that nowadays we're done with always following the crowd and trying to always be the same. Let those words be reported and seen as ridiculous from now on. Let's hear a whistle from the Spartan flute instead of a dinner bell. Let's stop bowing and apologizing. An important person is coming to have dinner at my place. I don't want to please him, I want him to want to please me. I will stand here for all people, and while I want it to be kind, I want it to be honest. Let's challenge and criticize the bland mediocrity and lazy satisfaction of our times and throw in the face of routine, business, and bureaucracy this truth found throughout history, that a powerful, responsible thinker and doer is at work wherever a person is working. A real person doesn't belong to any particular time or place, but is the center of everything. Wherever he is, there is nature. He judges you, everyone else, and everything that happens. Usually, everyone in society reminds us of something else or of someone else. Character and authenticity are unique. They replace everything else in the world. A person must be so strong that nothing around them affects them. Every real person is a reason, a nation, and a whole era. They need endless space, people, and time to fully achieve what they set out to do, and future generations seem to follow them like a line of admirers. A powerful leader is born, and for generations afterwards, we have an entire empire. Christ is born, and millions of people develop and are drawn to his greatness, so much that he becomes identified with goodness and what humans can achieve. An institution is an extension of a single person, just like monasticism came from the hermit Antony, the Reformation from Luther, Quakerism from Fox, Methodism from Wesley, and abolition from Clarkson. Milton called Scipio the greatness of Rome, and all of history is really just the stories of a few strong and determined people. Let a person recognize their own value and stay above everything else. He shouldn't sneak around or act like he doesn't belong in the world that is meant for him. But the average person, finding nothing valuable in himself that matches the power that built a tower or carved a marble god, feels inadequate when he looks at these things. To him, a palace, a statue, or an expensive book all seem foreign and unwelcoming, much like a fancy carriage, as if they're asking, "Who are you?" But actually, they all belong to him, waiting for his attention and inviting him to claim them as his own. The painting waits for my judgment. It doesn't control me. I decide if it deserves praise. The well-known story about the drunk who was found passed out in the street, taken to the Duke's house, cleaned up, dressed in fine clothes, and put in the Duke's bed, and when he woke up was treated with all the respect due a Duke and told he had just been crazy, remains popular because it perfectly symbolizes how people go through life mostly unaware, acting foolish. But every so often, people wake up, use their reason, and realize they are truly noble. We read like beggars and flatterers. When we look at history, our imagination deceives us. Power, nobility, and riches sound fancier than just plain John and Edward living in a small house and working regular jobs, but life is really the same for both. Altogether, it's the same thing. So why give so much respect to Alfred, Skanderbeg, and Gustavus? Suppose they were good people, did they use up all the goodness? Your actions today are just as important as the famous deeds of those before you. When ordinary people act with their own ideas, the glory will shift from the deeds of kings to those of everyday people. The world has been taught by its rulers who have so captivated the attention of nations. This huge symbol has taught us that people should respect each other. People everywhere have gladly accepted kings, nobles, or rich landowners who live by their own rules, judge people and things differently, pay for favors with respect instead of money, and embody the law themselves. By doing this, people were unknowingly expressing their own sense of worth and the belief that everyone has the same rights. The attraction that all original actions have becomes clear when we ask why we should trust ourselves. Who is the guardian? What is the original self that we can all truly depend on? What is the nature and power of that mysterious force, impossible for science to explain or measure, that shines with beauty even in trivial or flawed actions, as long as they show even a hint of independence. The question brings us to the source, which is the true nature of genius, goodness, and life, and which we call spontaneity or instinct. We call this original wisdom intuition, while everything we learn afterward is just teaching. In that powerful force, the ultimate source that can't be broken down any further, everything has its shared beginning. The feeling of existence that comes to us in peaceful moments is not different from things like space, light, time, or people. It is actually the same as them and clearly comes from the same source that gives them life and being. First, we experience the life that makes things real, and later we see them just as things in nature, forgetting that we were once part of what made them exist. This is the source of all action and thought. Here is the source of inspiration that gives people wisdom, and to deny it would be disrespectful and irreligious. We exist within a vast intelligence, which allows us to receive its wisdom and act through its power. When we recognize justice, when we recognize truth, we're not acting on our own. We're just letting its light shine through us. If we ask where this comes from, if we try to look into the mind that creates it, all philosophy fails. We can only say whether it is there or not. Everyone can tell the difference between the thoughts they choose and the things they notice without trying, and knows that they should completely trust those instinctive perceptions. He might make mistakes when talking about them, but he knows they are true, just like day and night, beyond question. My deliberate choices and achievements are just wandering. My curiosity and respect are captured even by my slightest daydream or the faintest feeling that comes naturally to me. Careless people just as quickly argue against what someone actually sees as they do against someone's opinions. Actually, they're even more likely to do this because they don't see the difference between what someone perceives and what they merely think. They think I decide what to notice. But perception isn't random, it's inevitable. If I notice something, my children will notice it after me, and eventually everyone will, even if no one noticed it before I did. My experience of it is just as real as the sun. The connection between the soul and the divine is so pure that it is wrong to try to add anything between them. When God speaks, he must share not just one thing, but everything. His voice should fill the entire world, should spread light, life, time, and souls from the heart of the current idea and make everything new and renewed. When a mind is clear and open to true wisdom, old ways fade away. Methods, teachers, books, and places of worship lose their hold. It lives fully in the present, bringing the past and future into the current moment. Everything is made special by its connection to it, each thing just as much as any other. Everything returns to its source because of what created it, and in the great miracle of the universe, small and specific miracles fade away. So if someone says they know and can speak about God but uses the old language and ideas from a long-gone nation in a different land and time, don't believe them. Is the acorn better than the oak tree that it grows into and completes? Is the parent better than the child who carries all the parent's best qualities within them? So why do we admire the past so much? All the previous centuries worked together to undermine our own judgment and confidence. Time and space are just illusions created by our senses, but the soul is true light. Wherever it exists, it brings day, and wherever it has left, there is night. And history is annoying and harmful if it's anything more than a helpful story or lesson about who I am and how I grow. People are shy and unsure. They don't stand tall anymore. They're afraid to say, I think, or I exist, and instead they just repeat what some famous person said. He feels embarrassed in front of even a blade of grass or a blooming rose. These roses under my window don't compare themselves to past roses or to better ones. They are simply themselves. They exist with God today. Time does not matter to them. There is only the rose, perfectly itself in every moment it exists. Before a leaf bud opens, its whole life is already active. When the flower is fully open, there isn't any more, and in the bare root, there isn't any less. It feels fulfilled and fulfilling in every moment. But people delay or look back. They don't live in the present. Instead, they regret the past or, ignoring the wealth around them, strain to see what's coming next. He can't be truly happy or strong until he also lives with nature in the present moment beyond concerns about time. This should be clear enough. But notice how even intelligent people still refuse to listen to God himself unless he speaks in the words of David, Jeremiah, or Paul. We won't always value a handful of writings or a few lives so highly. We are like children who memorize and repeat what our elders and teachers say, and as we grow up, we copy the words and actions of the talented people we meet, struggling to remember exactly what they said. Later, when they see things the same way as those who originally said those words, they understand them and are willing to let the words go. Because whenever needed, they can speak just as well. If we live honestly, we'll see things honestly. It's just as natural for a strong person to be strong as it is for a weak person to be weak. When we gain a new understanding, we'll happily let go of old memories we've been holding on to, seeing them as worthless. When someone lives in harmony with God, their voice will be as gentle as a flowing stream and the sound of wind in the cornfields. And now finally, the deepest truth about this can't be put into words. Maybe it never can be. Everything we say is just a distant memory of our original understanding. The idea, as best as I can express it now, is this. When good things are close to you, when you have your own inner vitality, it doesn't happen in any usual or familiar way. You won't see anyone else's tracks. You won't see another person's face. You won't hear any name. The path, the idea, the right thing will all be completely unfamiliar and new. It will ignore tradition and past experience. You learn from nature, not from other people. Everyone who ever lived is just someone who served it and has since been forgotten. Fear and hope are both powerless against it. Even hope is somewhat inferior. When you have a vision, you don't really feel gratitude or true happiness. The soul that rises above emotion sees its true self and the deeper reasons behind everything, recognizes that truth and right exist by themselves, and feels at peace knowing everything is as it should be. Huge areas of nature, the Atlantic Ocean, the South Sea, long periods of time, years, centuries, don't matter. What I think and feel has always been the foundation beneath every stage of my life and situation, just as it is now, beneath what we call life and what we call death. Only living in the present matters, not what you've done before. Strength disappears the moment you stop moving. It exists in the act of changing from what you were to what you're becoming, in taking a leap, in striving toward a goal. The world hates this one thing, that the soul grows and changes, because it always makes the past seem worse, turns all wealth into poverty, all honor into disgrace, mixes up the saint with the criminal, and pushes both Jesus and Judas out of the way. So why do we talk about self-reliance? As long as the soul is present, there will be strength, not just belief, but action. Talking about relying on others is just a shallow way of expressing things. Talk instead about what stands strong because it acts and exists. Anyone who is more obedient than I am controls me even if he doesn't lift a finger. I am drawn to him by a natural attraction between our souls. We think it's just talk when we discuss outstanding goodness. We don't yet realize that virtue is greatness, and that a person or group open and receptive to true principles will, by nature's law, surpass and rule over all cities, nations, rulers, wealthy people, and poets who are not. This is the basic truth we always come to in the end. No matter what we're talking about, everything comes down to the one all-encompassing source. Being self-sufficient is a quality of the highest power, and something is better the more it has this quality, even in lesser things. Things are real to the extent that they have strength or goodness within them. Science, business, farming, hunting, whaling, war speeches, personal influence, all these things mean something and earn my respect as examples of its existence, even if imperfectly expressed. I see the same rule in nature that protects and helps things grow. Power is the basic standard of what's right in nature. Nature allows nothing to stay in her world that can't take care of itself. The creation and growth of a planet, its balance and path, the tree that straightens after a strong wind, and the natural strength of every animal and plant all show the independent and self-reliant spirit. So everything comes together. Let's not wander. Let's stay at home with the source. Let's shock and surprise the crowd of people, books, and institutions that interrupt us by simply stating the truth that is divine. Tell the intruders to take off their shoes, because God is present here inside. Let our straightforwardness judge them, and our willingness to follow our own values show how little nature and luck matter compared to our own natural strengths. But now we're just a crowd. People aren't impressed by other people, and their own creativity isn't encouraged to look within themselves, but instead, they go out and ask others for what they need. We have to go alone. I prefer the quiet church before the service starts more than any sermon. They seem distant, calm, and pure, each one surrounded by their own space or protection. Let's always stay true to ourselves. Why should we take on the mistakes of our friends or family just because they live with us or share our blood? Everyone shares my humanity, and I share theirs. But that doesn't mean I'll take on their irritability or foolishness, or even feel embarrassed by it. But your solitude shouldn't just be physical, it should be spiritual, meaning it should lift you up. Sometimes it feels like everyone is pressuring you about things that don't really matter. Friends, dependents, children, sickness, fear, need, and charity all come to your door at once, asking you to come out and help them. But stay calm and composed, don't get caught up in their chaos. People can only bother me because I let my curiosity make me vulnerable. No one can get close to me unless I let them. We only have what we love when we accept it, but if we keep wanting it, we lose that love ourselves. If we can't immediately achieve true obedience and faith, let's at least fight against our temptations. Let's prepare for battle and awaken strength and bravery in ourselves. We should do this in our easy times by telling the truth. Stop accepting false kindness and fake affection. Don't live to please these misguided and misleading people around us anymore. Tell them, father, mother, wife, brother, friend, until now I have lived with you only according to outward appearances. From now on, I belong to truth. Let it be known that from now on, I will obey no law except the eternal law. I won't make any agreements except for those that come naturally. I will try to take care of my parents, support my family, and be a faithful husband to one wife, but I must do these things in a new and unique way. I reject your traditions. I have to be myself. I can't keep changing myself for you or for anyone else. If you can love me as I am, we'll both be happier. If you can't, I'll still try to be worthy of your approval. I won't hide what I like or dislike. I'll trust that what feels deep inside is sacred, so I'll openly do whatever truly makes me happy and feels right in my heart. If you are honorable, I will care about you. If not, I won't pretend to like you and cause harm to either of us by being fake. If you are genuine but don't share the same truth as I do, stay with those who think like you. I'll find my own people. I'm not doing this for myself, but honestly and sincerely. It's in your best interest, mine, and everyone's, no matter how long we've lived with lies, to live truthfully. Does that sound harsh today? You'll soon come to love what feels natural to you, just as I do, and if we stick to what's true, we'll be okay in the end. But I might hurt my friends. Yes, but I can't give up my freedom and strength just to protect their feelings. Everyone has moments of clarity when they see absolute truth. In those times, they will agree with me and act the same way. Most people believe that when you reject popular standards, you're rejecting all standards and just being lawless, and bold, immoral people will use the word philosophy to justify their wrongdoings. But the rules of our own awareness remain. There are two places to confess, and in one of them we have to admit our truths. You can do your duties either by handling them directly or by responding to others' actions. Think about whether you have fulfilled your responsibilities to your father, mother, relatives, neighbors, your town, and even your pets. Ask yourself if any of them have reason to complain about you. But I can also ignore this secondhand standard and answer only to myself. I have my own strong beliefs and complete sense of self. It refuses to call many things duties just because others say they are. But if I can pay off what I owe, then I don't need to follow society's usual rules. If anyone thinks this rule is easy, let them try to follow it for just one day. It really takes something extraordinary in a person who has let go of ordinary human motivations and has dared to rely only on himself as his guide. Let his heart be strong, His will be loyal and his vision be clear so that he can truly guide himself with his own beliefs and values instead of relying on others, and so that a straightforward goal will be as powerful for him as strict rules are for other people. If anyone thinks about the current state of what we call society, they will realize why these morals are needed. People's strength and spirit seem to have faded away, and we've become fearful, discouraged complainers. We're scared of the truth, scared of luck, scared of dying, and scared of each other. People in our time don't produce truly great and complete individuals. We need people who will renew life in our society, but we see that most people can't meet their own needs, have dreams much bigger than their abilities, and depend on others for help all the time. We didn't choose our way of living, our jobs, our relationships, or our beliefs. Society chose them for us. We are comfortable soldiers. We avoid the tough struggles of life where real strength is created. If young people fail at their first attempts, they completely lose confidence. If the young businessman fails, people say he's finished. If the smartest person goes to one of our colleges and doesn't get a job in Boston or New York within a year after graduating, both he and his friends think he has a right to feel discouraged and complain for the rest of his life. A tough kid from New Hampshire or Vermont who tries out all kinds of jobs, driving a team, farming, selling things door to door, teaching, preaching, running a newspaper, serving in Congress, buying land, and so on, year after year, and always manages to land on his feet like a cat, is worth 100 times more than those pampered city kids. He moves through life alongside his time, isn't embarrassed about not having a formal career because he doesn't wait to start living. He's already living now. He doesn't have just one chance. He has 100. Let a strong person show what people are capable of and tell them they aren't weak or dependent, but can and should stand on their own, that by having confidence in themselves, new abilities will emerge. A person is the embodiment of truth, meant to bring healing to the world. He shouldn't be ashamed of our sympathy, and when he acts on his own, casting aside laws, books, idols, and traditions, we no longer pity him, but instead thank and respect him. Such a teacher will bring back the greatness of humanity and make his name honored throughout history. It's clear that more self-reliance would completely change every role and relationship people have in their religion, their education, their jobs, and the way they live. Their relationships, in their possessions, in their beliefs. 1. What kinds of prayers people allow themselves. What they call a holy duty isn't really brave or strong. Prayer looks outside itself, asking for help to come from somewhere else, and gets lost in endless confusion between what's natural and supernatural, between intermediaries and miracles. A prayer that asks for a specific thing, anything less than complete goodness, is wrong. Prayer is thinking about the realities of life from the highest perspective. It is the speech of a joyful soul who is watching and reflecting. It is God's Spirit declaring that His creations are good. But praying to get something just for yourself is selfish and wrong. It assumes there are two separate things, not a single unity, in nature and in consciousness. Once a person is united with God, they won't ask for anything. He will then see prayer in everything people do. The farmer kneeling in his field to pull weeds is praying, and so is the rower kneeling as he moves his oar. Both are real prayers that nature hears, even if their goals are ordinary. Karatak, in Fletcher's Bonduca, when told to ask what the god Audate wants, replies, "His true purpose is found in what we try to achieve. Our courage is the greatest power we have." Another kind of empty prayer is regret. Being unhappy with yourself shows a lack of confidence, it's weakness of will. Feel sorry about disasters only if doing so helps the person who's suffering. Otherwise, focus on your own work. Just doing that already starts to fix the damage. Our compassion is just as shallow. We go to people who cry for no good reason and just sit with them and join their sadness instead of giving them honest and healthy wake-up calls that reconnect them with their own common sense. The key to success is finding happiness in what we do. A person who helps themselves is always valued by both people and the gods. Every door is open to him, everyone welcomes him, everyone honors him, and everyone watches him with admiration. We love him and want to care for him because he didn't need our help. We carefully and apologetically praise and admire him now because he stayed true to his path and ignored our disapproval. The gods care for him because people rejected him. Zoroaster said, "For the determined person, the blessed immortals are quick to help." Just as people's prayers show weakness of will, their beliefs show weakness of mind. People say, like those foolish Israelites, "Don't let God speak to us, or we might die. Speak to us, anyone, and we'll listen." But everywhere I go, I can't find God in others because they've closed off their own hearts and just repeat stories about other people's gods. Every new mind brings a new way of organizing things. If it's particularly active and powerful like Locke, Lavoisier, Hutton, Bentham, or Fourier, it makes others adopt its way of seeing and organizing the world, a new system. The deeper the idea and the more things it connects to and makes accessible for the student, the more satisfied he feels. This is especially clear in religions and churches, which are just ways that some influential person has organized basic ideas about duty and our relationship to what is highest. This is what Calvinism, Quakerism, and Swedenborgism are like. The student enjoys using the new terms to describe everything, just like a girl who's learned botany sees the world and its seasons in a whole new way. For a while, the student will notice that their own thinking has gotten stronger from learning from their teacher's mind. But in all unbalanced minds, the categories are worshipped, treated as the ultimate goal instead of just a temporary tool, so that to them, the boundaries of their system seem to blend with the edges of the whole universe. The stars in the sky seem to them to be hung on the arch their own master made. They can't understand how you outsiders have any right to see, or how you're even able to see at all. You must have taken the light from us somehow. They don't realize yet that light, wild and unstoppable, will find its way into any home, even theirs. Let them talk for a bit and think it belongs to them. If they are honest and do well, soon their neat, new enclosure will become too small and low, will break, will lean, will decay and disappear, and the eternal light, full of youth and joy, with millions of colors and millions of forms, will shine over the universe as it did on the first morning. People still find traveling to places like Italy, England, and Egypt fascinating because they haven't developed their own inner selves. The people who made England, Italy, or Greece respected and admired did so by staying firmly rooted in their own place, like the Earth's axis. When we are strong and confident, we know that our responsibility is where we belong. The soul doesn't wander. A wise person stays home, and even when their needs or responsibilities take them away or to foreign places, they still feel at home. He will show by the look on his face that he comes as a messenger of wisdom and goodness, and visits people in cities like a ruler, not like an outsider or a servant. I have no rude objection to traveling around the world for art, learning, or kindness, as long as the person is already grounded at home or doesn't travel hoping to find something better than what they already know. Anyone who travels just for entertainment or to find something they don't already have is really running away from themselves, and even when they're young, they become old by surrounding themselves with old things. In Thebes and Palmyra, his determination and thoughts have grown as old and worn out as those ancient cities. He brings destruction wherever he goes. Traveling is pointless and foolish. When we first travel, we realize that where we are doesn't really matter. When I'm at home, I imagine that in Naples or Rome, I could be overwhelmed by beauty and forget my sadness. I pack my bags, say goodbye to my friends, set out to sea, and finally wake up in Naples, only to find that the harsh reality, my same old self that I tried to escape, is still there with me. I look for great places and fancy buildings. I pretend to be amazed by what I see, but I'm not really amazed. My inner strength stays with me wherever I am. But the obsession with traveling is a sign of a deeper problem affecting all of our thinking. People's minds are always wandering, and our education system encourages this lack of focus. Our thoughts wander even when we have to stay in one place. We copy others, and copying is just the mind wandering. Our houses are designed with styles from other places, our shelves are decorated with ornaments from other countries, our opinions, our preferences, and even our abilities depend on and imitate the past and things from far away. People invented the arts wherever they have thrived. The artist looked to his own imagination for inspiration. He used his own ideas to figure out what needed to be done and how to do it. Why do we need to imitate the Doric or Gothic style? Beauty, usefulness, big ideas, and unique ways of speaking are just as available to us as to anyone else. If the American artist studies what needs to be done with hope and love, thinking about the weather, the land, how long the days are, what people need, their customs, and the type of government, we will create a home where all these things fit together, and both style and feelings will be satisfied. Rely on yourself, don't copy others. You can always offer your own unique abilities, strengthened by everything you've learned in your life, but when you try to use someone else's talent, you only have a temporary and incomplete grasp of it. Only the one who made someone can teach them to do what they do best. No one really knows what it is or can know until someone has shown it. Who is the teacher that could have taught Shakespeare? Who is the teacher who could have taught Franklin, Washington, Bacon, or Newton? Every great person is unique. What made Scipio truly himself was the part he couldn't imitate from anyone else. You won't become like Shakespeare just by studying his works. Do what you're meant to do, and you can't hope or dare too much. Right now, there is an expression available to you that is as bold and magnificent as the great sculptures of Phidias, the monuments of the Egyptians, or the writings of Moses or Dante, but it is unique and unlike any of them. The soul, full of wealth and expression, with countless ways to speak, will never lower itself by repeating the same thing. But if you can understand what these elders are saying, you can answer them just as confidently, because listening and speaking are both natural abilities. Stay true to the simple and honorable parts of your life, follow your heart, and you will bring back the world as it once was. Just as our religion, education, and art look to the outside world, so does our social spirit. Everyone boasts about making society better, but no one actually improves themselves. Society never really moves forward. For every step it takes ahead in one area, it falls back just as much in another. It keeps changing all the time. It's uncivilized, then influenced by Christianity, then wealthy, then scientific. But these changes don't actually make it better. Whenever something is gained, something else is lost. As society develops new skills, it loses its old natural abilities. What a difference between the well-dressed, educated American carrying a watch, a pencil, and some money, and the naked New Zealander whose possessions are a club, a spear, a mat, and a small share of a shelter to sleep in. But compare the health of these two men, and you'll see that the white man has lost his original strength. If the traveler is telling the truth, you can strike a native person with a broad axe, and in a day or two their flesh will heal as if you hit soft tar, but that same blow would send a white person to their grave. People today have cars, but they've forgotten how to walk. He relies on crutches but doesn't have much muscle strength. He owns an expensive watch, but he doesn't know how to tell time by looking at the sun. He has a Greenwich nautical almanac, so since he can look up the information whenever he needs it, the average person doesn't really know any of the stars in the sky. He doesn't pay attention to the start of summer or winter. He doesn't notice when day and night are equal, and the entire changing year passes by without him keeping track. His notebooks weaken his memory, his libraries overwhelm his intelligence, the insurance office leads to more accidents, and it might be questioned whether machines actually just get in the way, whether we have lost some energy through sophistication and lost some strength of natural goodness because Christianity has become tied to institutions and rituals. Every Stoic truly lived by Stoic values, but in the Christian world, where is the true Christian? People's morals don't vary any more than their height or size. There aren't any greater people now than there ever were. You can notice a unique equality between the great people from the earliest times and those from recent times. Not even all the science, art, religion, and philosophy of the 19th century can succeed in producing greater people than Plutarch's heroes, who lived over 2,000 years ago. Progress doesn't happen just because time passes. Phocion, Socrates, Anaxagoras, and Diogenes were great individuals, but they didn't create a group of followers like themselves. Someone who truly belongs among them won't use their label, but will be his own person and eventually create his own following. The arts and inventions of each time are just its clothing, and they don't make people stronger. The damage caused by better machines might cancel out their benefits. Hudson and Bering achieved incredible things in their small fishing boats, impressing Perry and Franklin, who had access to all the latest scientific and artistic equipment. With a telescope, Galileo saw more amazing things in the sky than anyone else has since. Columbus discovered the New World in a simple, uncovered boat. It's interesting to see how tools and machines that were once loudly praised end up being abandoned and forgotten after a few years or centuries. The greatest minds go back to being their true natural selves. We counted advances in the art of war as scientific achievements, but Napoleon won Europe by relying on basic courage alone, stripping away all support and relying only on raw bravery. The emperor said it was impossible to create a perfect army, according to Las Casas, unless we got rid of our weapons, supplies, officers, and wagons, so that, like the Romans, each soldier would get his own grain, grind it himself, and bake his own bread. Society is like a wave. The wave moves forward, but the water that makes it up stays in place. The same bit of matter doesn't move from the valley up to the ridge. Its unity is only an illusion. The people who make up a nation today will die by next year, and their experiences die with them. Relying on owning things, and on governments that protect those things, shows a lack of self-reliance. People have focused on external things for so long that they now see religious, educational, and governmental institutions mainly as protectors of property, and they oppose any challenges to these institutions because they see them as threats to their property. They judge how much they value each other based on what each person owns, not on who they truly are. But an educated person starts to feel embarrassed by their possessions because they have a new respect for their own true self. He especially hates what he owns if he sees he got it by accident, through inheritance, as a gift, or by wrongdoing, because then it doesn't feel like it truly belongs to him. It doesn't truly belong to him, isn't a part of him, and just sits there only because no revolution or thief has taken it away. What a person truly is will always shape what they naturally gain, and what they gain is a living part of themselves. It doesn't depend on the approval of leaders, crowds, revolutions, disasters, or crises, but constantly renews itself wherever that person lives. Your destiny or share in life, said Caliph Ali, is looking for you. So stop searching for it and be content. Relying on things from outside ourselves makes us blindly respect quantity and popularity. Political parties gather at big meetings, the larger the crowd, and with each loud announcement, the delegation from Essex, the Democrats from New Hampshire, the Whigs of Maine. A young patriot feels stronger than ever, as if he has 1,000 new eyes and arms. Similarly, reformers call meetings and make decisions together as a group. That's not how it works, friends. The God will only come to you in exactly the opposite way. A person is only truly strong and successful when they stop relying on others and stand on their own. He becomes weaker with every person who joins his side. Isn't one individual better than a whole community? Don't rely on others, and in the constant changes around you, you must stand strong as the one who supports everything around you. Anyone who realizes that true strength comes from within, that his weakness is because he has looked for goodness outside himself, and understanding this, relies confidently on his own ideas, immediately finds his balance, stands tall, controls his actions, and accomplishes incredible things. A person who stands upright is stronger than someone who stands on their head. Make use of everything that people call luck. Most people take chances with it, sometimes winning everything, sometimes losing everything as luck changes. But leave these achievements as forbidden and deal with cause and effect, the agents of God. If you work hard and achieve things through your own will, you take control of your fate and won't have to be afraid of unpredictable change anymore. When something good happens, a political win, higher rents, someone you care about recovering from illness, a friend returning, or any other bit of good luck, it lifts your mood and you start to believe that good times are on the way for you. Don't believe it. Only you can bring yourself peace. Only living by your values can give you peace. True genius is to trust your own insight, to believe that what is true for you deep down is a universal truth. When we see a work of genius, we recognize our own forgotten ideas, now returned to us with a strange and powerful majesty. Envy is just a form of ignorance. Imitation is a form of self-destruction. Rest yourself. Every heart beats in tune with that fundamental truth. Society is in a constant conspiracy against the individuality of every one of its members. Anyone who wants to be a true individual must be a nonconformist. In the end, the only thing that's sacred is the integrity of your own mind. What I must do is all that matters, not what other people think. A great person is someone who can be in the middle of a crowd and still maintain the peaceful independence of being alone. An obsession with consistency is the boogeyman of small minds. A great soul simply isn't concerned with being consistent. Say what you think today in no uncertain terms, and tomorrow say what you think then, even if it contradicts everything you said today. To be great is to be misunderstood. This is timeless. An institution is just the long shadow of a single individual. Be yourself, never imitate. We built the car, but we've forgotten how to use our own 2 feet. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Nothing can bring you peace but the victory of your own principles.